Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be looking at how to frame a focal image, and I'm using some collage tissue from the lovely Natalie May in this piece. This is the original piece that I was going to use today. So I wanted to make some sort of background for it, and I wasn't really sure what to do because this image was quite coloured, that I wanted to sort of have something nice and bright. And I decided to go for purples, which isn't my usual colour range, because we had so much yellow hair and having a bit of a contrast in colours. I'm going in and drying it off. So you'll see when I did this, I started off with the darker on the outside and the lighter on the inside. And the reason for that is I sort of want to have a vignette frame around my piece. As I mixed it together, I was thinking, oh, it's a little bit too dark, so I thought, oh, I'll put my some blushing spray on. So I'm again sort of picking out colours from the image itself to get some ideas. And I wasn't necessarily happy with it, so I decided to go in with some stars. So this is quite often how I create pages. I do something, I think, do I like this? Do I not like this? Oh, I'll do something else, and I keep adding. You'll notice I'll keep going in with the image though, just to work out where I actually need to stencil. And again, it's not very often I do that, but because I actually knew this is what I was going to use on it, I didn't necessarily need to put any stenciling underneath. The other reason I avoided doing it was because with tissue papers, they are a little bit translucent, so you can see through them. Now with printed coloured tissue papers, that's less of an issue. You can see as it dries it's a little bit more opaque. With just black and white tissue papers, they do go fairly translucent. You can see what's going on behind them. So you've got a little bit more leeway if you're using like printed paper napkin or a coloured tissue paper like this one. Because I don't like wasting paint, anything gets scraped into my page. So that's what I call a used up page for next time when I'm not sure what I'm doing. I've got a page to start with. So I've sort of got a complementary colour primary and secondary colour. I can't think what I'm doing. So I've got the yellow as main, and then the purple, which is the opposite of that, as my main colour scheme. So I decided to keep working with that, with the body, with the fuchsia and the orange, and the whole page in itself has got a fairly warm feel to it because the purples I used in the background are also warm purples. Purples tend to be a bit of a tricky colour sometimes because you can have very cool blue toned purples and red toned purples, and if you're doing a sort of warm page like this, you want to be looking at your red toned purples. Once I'd finished that, I put some white on the body because it was a little bit overpowering. I wanted to sort of bring in some white space. Then I decided when I had the white out that I wanted to do some doodling over the hair. I'd done this technique on a previous page where I put in a shadow using the gloss sprays. So this is using marine gloss spray just to darken up one side and again sort of frame my image a little bit and push it out from the background. It sort of ended up, I didn't mind it too much, but it ended up making one side quite dark and the other side quite light, and it sort of skewed the image somewhat. So in the future I may think about how I did that again in the future. I'm using the body of the doll to write in some of my thoughts about this page. It's not necessarily my favourite page, but you know, I was making art, I was having fun, so you know, that's what you need to do. To hide my journaling, I decided I would draw some flower vines over my page. So I'm just using my paint pen in different shades of green to just draw a fairly simple line and little leaves off either side. And again, this is sort of, I got the idea from her hair and the tendrils in her hair, so I thought sort of have that echo across her body as well. it is what it is. You know, for me, doing this, it's very mindless. I don't have to think about it very much. It was something I was able to do when I was sort of concentrating on something else. So for me, particularly doing stuff like this, is a good way for me to give my brain an opportunity to sort of digest what I'm actually doing and think, have you done too much, or are you doing, making a mess of this, or are you actually problem solving and coming up with a good solution? I don't know if I can answer any of those questions while I was doing this, but I was keeping my hand busy and hopefully most of me out of trouble when I was doing this. So her body was looking very, very crowded and very layered, but I had some journaling, I'd done some doodling, what's wrong with that? Then I decided to balance up the side, so I'm going in with my paint pen, and again, spelling mistake, spacing mistake, I couldn't quite fit it all in, so using my trusty wet wipe to wipe away the bits that don't work, and writing in everything that I need. So once I'd written it in, I then go back and widen all my letters. Again, I chose, usually if I'm doing font writing, I would choose a black or a white, but in this case I chose a yellow because I had that really strong purple background. And I think my main issue with this was the fact that it was purple in the background. As I said at the beginning, purple's not necessarily the first colour I choose. I certainly don't tend to use lots of it, so I think, struggling with how much purple I had on the page, and you can sort of see I'm doing everything I can to cover it. So I think that's why I ended up putting those stars in the background. It's why I ended up putting that big body on her. It's why I tried to shade the blue, the purple out of it, and now it's why I've got a really big quote in yellow over the top of it. So it's funny unconsciously what your brain does to help you fix the page without you really worrying about it. Now I'm going in again and doing my drop shadow. I'm using white to help push these letters out from the background and just sharpen them up a little bit. So that in the close-up at the end, you can sort of see how that makes a difference. In this video from where you're watching from now, it sort of looks like it's not actually adding anything to it, but it really does make a difference in the close-up. Same with the white pen over the top of the green leaves. Again, it sort of looks like it made it really messy, but it actually does define them in the close-up. When I was finished, I was sort of looking, going, I'm still not sure, and there was this cool quote that came with the sheet from Natalie May. So you get the image, I think there's 2 images on the sheet and a load of quotes as well. I thought I could maybe put the quote on the page, which I don't tend to put 2 quotes on a page, but it worked in this instant. But I did this, and tissue paper did what tissue paper does, and it goes quite translucent. Now, because I've got a very, very busy background, that wasn't really working for me. So I actually just peeled it off. The good thing with using some gel mediums, this is a Dina Wakley gel medium, so you've got a little bit of moving time before you actually glue something down. Some gel mediums glue immediately, so be sure what you're going to do. What I ended up doing was putting a little bit of white gesso down so that you could actually see the quote. I then went in with some red to put in some heights around the quote. Again, just picking up a bit of a theme from the quote itself. It had a little red height in it, so I thought I'd use that to sort of frame my quote on the page, just doing a little sprinkling around the page. So, as I said, I don't necessarily usually do a page that's got 2 quotes on it. The quotes don't necessarily relate to each other. The background stars don't necessarily relate to my figure, but in the end, it all worked, sort of. So, but it was a good learning experience for me, and it was interesting for me to sort of work through this and see what I was really fighting against. And it's funny watching the video back after you've done it that I think I was fighting against the purple. So here you can see the close-up. You can see the detail in the letters by putting the white on and around the doodling. You can see how those little sprinkly heights made the difference around that quote. So have a go. Check out the description box below to see Nat's amazing papers. And yeah, if you've got any comments about the page, please let me know in the comments box below. Until next time, bye for now.